All right, it's back on. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. You're still getting that error, huh? Yeah, sometimes you get the error if I start the one screen too early. Because I guess, I don't know. Like, I belong to a service to be able to use that song, but sometimes it catches it and is like, oh no, you can't use this song. It's like, no, no, I can. YouTube has figured it out. Twitch has not figured it out yet. All right, so let's see. Let me make sure that sound is coming through okay. Sounds like it's really low. Oops, not that. All right, that should be good. There we go. Huh. All right, I think that's better. It should adjust itself. All right, can you hear me now? Let me see. Not sure why sound is so low there. Hold on one sec, guys. Let me fix this real quick. Move. All right, that should be a little bit better. Hopefully it's coming through. Oh, hello. John, are you able to hear it? Not sure why the microphone is being weird right now. Okay, Debbie can hear it? All right. Okay. I don't know. For some reason, it's not showing the little red slider bar is not showing as high as it normally does. I don't know why. That's a little bit weird. Who knows? All right. Anyway, so here we go. We're looking at the overall markets for the day, and you can see that things got, yeah, crazy again. And again, they were actually going as we kind of had expected. And then obviously, if you guys didn't see it, you kind of had all this bailout stuff going on. Yeah, you see the bailout. Anyway, talked about this last night. Again, when we were talking about, uh, kind of seeing retracements and kind of seeing where things were, right? Remember last night I told you that, I expected this to be the opposite. Yesterday we saw that this was really, really, it was definitely high in the green. And what did I say? Don't be surprised when these are sitting here the opposite when we see that, that kind of dollar strength come back in again. And boy, did we see dollar strength, right? Huge movement here, huge movement here, a little bit here, right? And again, some of that's being retraced. Big movement here. Look at this, 235 pips in the dollar CAD. That is unreal. And the pound only did about 97. It's funny, I say only 97. 235. Absolutely insane how high that one is. Yeah, and that puts what? Dollar CAD up to, at a peak, what? 142. Where was the high today? Let's see. 142.77, almost 143. It's unreal. I can't believe how high that is. But yeah, so we talked about dollar strength coming back in the market. Another thing that I mentioned to you guys earlier was definitely check out this German economic sentiment. I said this was going to be a big one. The numbers have been coming in worse than expected. I didn't expect this one to be any different. And what did we see? We saw this one come in worse than expected by a lot, right? It was supposed to come in at negative 29.7. It came in at negative 49.5. So, whew, that's a big difference, right? Big, big difference. All right, I can hear myself, Ernest. Can you not hear me? Um, the test one, I can hear myself. I'm not sure why you guys wouldn't be able to. Anyway, so again, huge difference there. Now, the economic summit, we got some news out of that as well. Looking at the 8 o'clock news or 8:30 news this morning, you can see core retail sales is actually coming down the month over month. So you're starting to see kind of the effects of the coronavirus about a month ago. You're good now? Okay. So that was one of those user errors. What is it? An ID10T error? And then CAD manufacturing sales was actually good. Again, not good. I mean, it was still down, right? But it was better than what the forecast was actually expected to be. So, but then, but then, all the craziness happened, right? We had the Fed announce, we had President Trump speaking, then we had another Fed announcement. I guess within 2 weeks, we're supposed to each get. I think each adult is supposed to get a check for $1,000 in the next 2 weeks. Is what I read earlier. I think is what the plan was. Is that down here? No, it's 9 hours ago. I've been too early. 5 hours ago, was it in this one? No, I looked it up earlier. Basically, I think it's each adult is supposed to get a check for $1,000, which I think is great. If that them gives them a backstop, I still think they should just you know skip mortgage payments for a month. I think that would be cool. I think that would help everybody too. Um, that's it. I don't see anything else in here. Um, yeah. And again, a little while ago, you can see China, no signs of a strong rebound yet. Of course, there's not a strong rebound yet because nobody is buying anything from China right now, right? Because everybody is dealing with it. Um, but anyway, that's what we got going on today. Like I said, absolutely huge movement across. I'm not even going to cover the scanner. Again, looking at the scanner, because you have such huge movements. I mean, what are we going to talk about, right? Yeah, there's some things in uptrend setups and things like that. But after the huge movements today, we typically would be expecting some type of a retracement tomorrow. Again, some things are continuing the direction they were, and again, got worse. But really, anything, all the majors are going to be a bit screwed up. I mean, these are big ATRs, big drops, and again, a lot of them are reversals too. So we were expecting this somewhat of a reversal. To come off the next tax season. What do you mean if it's supposed to come off? No, they're supposed to mail. The last I saw, it was within the next 2 weeks, everybody should receive a check for $1,000, or all adults should receive a check for $2,000. Trump still wants to put the payroll tax in, or I guess delete the payroll tax. The only problem with that is they found that with companies not working right now, it was not really necessarily as beneficial as I thought it would be because if you're off and you're not working right now, based off of what everything that that's going on, the payroll tax doesn't help you at all because you don't have payroll. So yeah. So then they realized that one wouldn't work, and then they were like, no, let's give this direct relief. And I don't know where they came up with $1,000. I thought it was supposed to be more need based, but not exactly sure. I just know that Mnuchin earlier today said, yeah, if you're making like $1 million a year, we're not sending you we're not going to send you a check. So it's meant for the other people out there that are obviously not making $1 million a year. I don't know how they're figuring that out, if they're doing it off prior taxes or what it is. No idea. But huge relief package. And again, it's kind of a big deal. So also the last I heard today, and again, this is what the markets are going to be about now, is what did the last news release say? I think they were talking about, I guess San Francisco is technically, I guess, closed down now. And they're talking about doing it to New York as well. But then it's going to be like weird. It's like, yeah, you have to stay inside except if you need groceries or you want to like exercise. And then you can go outside, which I don't know. It kind of defeats the purpose of staying inside the whole day. But yeah, that's kind of what we got, right? So going into tomorrow, okay, we actually, interesting thing about tomorrow is, again, being Wednesday, we don't necessarily have, this is what the normal Wednesday would be, but we know it's not going to be a normal Wednesday, right? There'll be more news releases tomorrow. There'll be more, talks of aid, and obviously governors will be making some adjustments. So, as far as an economic news basis goes, I mean, again, we have CPI for the CAD, which again that's an important number. Okay, I don't think it'll be 0.4. Again, this consumer price index, with everything going on, it's month over month. They're going to definitely start seeing some of the effects. So I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't adjusted that number down. And then you'll see your common medium trimmed, which really don't do a whole lot, U.S. building permits. And then not much, and then it'll just be regular news for the rest of the day. Now, tomorrow night, starting at 5:45, New Zealand GDP quarter over quarter. That'll be kind of interesting to look at because, again, New Zealand and Australia were both being affected early on. We'll see what it has done to their, gross domestic product. Be interesting to see. I'm actually kind of curious about that number to see where that comes in. It is actually obviously been forecast a bit lower than it was previously, but we'll see if there are going to be any effects that are hitting that one already. And then at 8:30 tomorrow night, the unemployment change and the unemployment rate. Now, unemployment rate and unemployment change are definitely things that are going to be interesting. You guys are seeing the number they're talking about now about temporary workers and throwing around like a 20% unemployment rate if this gets entirely out of hand. Um, and I don't know. It's one of those things. It'll be the fastest spike to 20 and the fastest drop from 20 ever. Ever. Um, I don't know. I just have a very hard time. I get what they're trying to do with this whole. It's the lowering the curve or flattening the curve, whatever they're saying. But you know, drawing this out to flatten this curve and make it a 10-month long thing versus a 2 or a 3 month thing. I don't know. I don't know. I think that the detrimental damage will go well beyond, overflowing. Like I said, if you can build emergency shelters out of tents and the military has the ability to do that, I don't know why that's not the route that they necessarily go in. I think the longer they extend this, the more damage it's going to do, and the more people were hurt in the long run versus this a short spike. So I don't know. I'm missing something. I get you don't want to overwhelm people, but turning this into a year-long process because we're flattening the curve, there's a lot of things that are going to have to be paid back later. Um, Money does not grow on trees. And again, looking into future generations, yeah, going to get interesting. All right, so that's what we got going on to tomorrow. So let's just jump directly into charts. Let me bring this back over to the Aussie. All right, not that one. I did not get the boy, just for anybody asking. The boy is not actually up on a demo yet. He got a blue screen of death today when it was starting, and I've was messing around with a bit, and then we actually went out to the park. We went to go throw a ball around for a while with some of the other teammates on the lacrosse team, and had some fun. Yeah, the payroll tax cut doesn't really help too much. Yeah, and that was kind of thing. All right, so looking at the Aussie, again, you guys can see that the Aussie dollar in the last 24 hours is down about 135 pips. As I mentioned yesterday, all we can do is hope for pullbacks. And again, there's nothing, there's really nothing below this one. We can only grab pullbacks on the way down. As you guys can see, dropping down to the 30-minute. Although there was some movement down, this was one of those ones that it was a pretty, kind of even step to the downside. Here's where we are right now. Most of the movement started to happen here about last night, right? Yeah, we're here right now. And then this is where we were last night. So it kind of went down. You guys can see even the 30-minute, not really a big pullback, kind of pushed down, not really a pullback, and just kind of continue to push down. And now it's kind of just basing. So although it's been down, haven't really gotten a lot of ability to enter this. Here again, this is where we were. Same thing. Let's adjust this. There we go. Here's where we are now, and here's where we were last night, right here. So you guys can see, little tiny bit of a level. This is the only chance we had at 4 o'clock in the morning to really get into this thing. It just ran, based a little bit, pulled back up, and again, I don't think it actually would have pulled that zone. Let me see. No, it didn't pull that zone, but you guys would have been able to draw the zone sitting right in here. Okay. That was the only entry you had all day in this pair. Besides that, it just continued to push and push. And again, this was where it got a little bit funky, but that's about all you were. That's it right there. 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning is the only entry in the Aussie. Going tomorrow, it's going to be the same kind of thing. I don't know that I would expect a huge retrace right now in the dollar. As I said, as we hear more and more and bigger problems worldwide. The news yesterday was that Peru had instated closing their borders, canceling flights, and then they were obviously I think Sean you posted this, they were restricting constitutional rights. It's never a good thing when you start having countries do that, but I think we'll see it from more other countries. So obviously the U.S. will be a kind of a flight situation. So I don't really see many. I don't see like tomorrow. I don't see this thing being all the way back over in here. Again, be looking for continued shorts in the Aussie dollar. Looking for the Aussie New Zealand. This one, again, here we'll go back up to the daily. You can see, again, another red day down the downside. This one did actually pull back a bit. Again, this one did have a big spike. But remember, this one was also not in the same type of dire situation, right? We were sitting inside of this weekly demand. We've had price up in this area before. Let me turn this off. You guys can see price has been around here before. So we're not at like the super extreme lows like we are with the other pairs. And again, on the 4 hour, I believe 4 hours what we're talking about less. Oh, no, not this pair. There's the other one on 4 hour. You can see this one, a little bit of movement, but again, a little bit more decision, a little bit more basing. Last 16 hours, it's been kind of up and down. And then looking at this one right here on the hour, you can see kind of the same idea, right? Just kind of back and forth, not putting in lower lows. It is creating lower highs, so it is kind of consolidating. and then kind of run along kind of this sideways little channel here. And again, there's a 30-minute. So kind of a little bounce, little bounce, little bounce, pop up again, go just slightly higher, and then again, it's basically more or less basic. All right, we had one little. This is the only thing we're looking for an entry. Up here at the 102.06 range, we got a bit of a way to run. We got about 116 pips before we can reach that high. The daily ATR is 108, so that is actually more than what one ATR would be on this pair. So it may be something still worthwhile looking to get up in that zone. Okay. Looking over here at Aussie Yen. Here's Aussie Yen on the daily. Now, interesting enough on the Aussie Yen here, we can take the back test there, function off. This one is actually starting to get more wicky, right? The bodies are actually getting smaller, and it's actually starting to show a bit more indecision, which is kind of an interesting play here. And again, you're seeing this pop back and forth. Still have not been able to get back up to that zone, as you can see today. It had a little bit more compressed movement, right? Count 6 candles back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had a drop for 8 hours, and then it just stopped. It stabilized itself. So, nothing that I would say here is amazing, right? There was one little entry right here you could have taken, and that entry would have occurred basically at midnight. Actually, not at midnight. I'm sorry. No, it's actually last night from here. Yeah. So again, same situation. Not really a lot we can get into. All right, missed an entry here, and then again, we never even hit this upper level. So, yeah, Aussie Yen, not an easy one to get into. Now, remember, Aussie Yen is one that has two different types of influences here. One is obviously with gold and inflation-based, and then the other one is going to be with the overall stock market. So that one's going to make this one a little bit funky because as you see gold weakening, and again, the stock market going up, and this one will kind of, it's like a tennis match. This one will kind of bounce back and forth. All right. They're locked down right now, police everywhere. Where, in Peru or New York City? Which one are you talking about? Because it could be either. It could be both. Which one? The primary reason Aussie dollar's down so much? Oh, well, dollar strength and gold weakness. Yeah. Aussie's been down for a while, though. And the reason why Aussie's been down for a while is because they are considered a commodity currency. So, like, when China needs, obviously, natural resources for production, they get it from Australia. So when Chinese production is low, it just crushes the Aussie dollar because that's their export, that's basically their export economy. So they don't really have much else besides that, and they are typically linked with gold. So they are not only basically affected on an industrial metal side, because again, gold gold is considered a hedge for inflation, but gold is also kind of an industrial metal. It's used in a lot of electronics. So when you don't need, you're not building things, especially electronics, which China does a lot of, there's not that same need for gold, right? And again, if there's not necessarily an inflation worry, then same thing. You don't have the same kind of oomph in gold, okay? Peru. Yeah, it's the gold thing. All right, so let's go back down and we'll go over to Aussie CAD. So Aussie CAD on the daily. Okay, this one actually, I mentioned this last night. This one is starting to get wicky. Like here, 2 days ago, you see that there's a big up, big down, little body. And today, we did have a push down, right? Almost to the lowest, but then we pop right back up again. So Aussie CAD is actually kind of putting a little bit of a fight in. It's not having that same kind of just overly kind of just negativity that the other pairs are having. And some of this is because the Canadian dollar's in so much trouble as well. I mean, this one is kind of like a race, right? Like we're seeing that this one, you're seeing current prices right here, and it's not straight down, right? We're not seeing this straight down, right? It spent a lot of time low here. We had actually even a pop, and then 2 days down. Again, that was a lot of the oil information, and then nothing, right? So this one is kind of a race of who can be weaker at this point. Right now, the Aussie is winning. The Aussie is definitely weaker because we're seeing this, continue to push down, but it's starting to put up a fight. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if we start getting some type of a bounce up in this one. I think, we will hear something about, this one I have to say I'm more of a neutral. Most of the other Australian pairs I'm definitely more bearish. This one I am definitely more neutral, thinking that this is going to turn and flip to the top side. Aussie Swiss, okay? Aussie Swiss, again, another day down, but just like the last one, you're seeing a lot more wicks in this one. But this one actually is a very small candle. Okay, if you look top to bottom on this one, we're talking about what, 106 pips, right? 106 pips, so less than its daily ATR. Again, the ATR is up to 145, which is being jacked by a couple of these candles. But you're starting to see a candle here. This red candle right here. Let me zoom if you guys see a little bit more. Look at this candle right here. You guys see this candle? This is starting to get more reminiscent of, it's still bigger, but it looks like it could actually fit into the size of a lot of these candles. That's kind of a good sign. Okay. Again, it's now starting to find those areas of buyers. It's finding some support. They're stepping in and kind of holding this price. Now it's still going lower, but the swings are getting to be less. Okay, that's actually a good sign. And again, even though it's the Aussie Swiss and it's kind of a weird pair to do it in, we are finally seeing a buyer step in and really kind of come to the rescue of the Australian dollar. So that's interesting. Curious to see how that one unfolds. And then Aussie Singapore, you can see Aussie Singapore again, another down day. At this point, last 16 hours, it's kind of just gone sideways. And on the hourly, this is kind of the balance that we've gotten. A little bit more flattening. And again, I think this is just because neither one of these two is necessarily the strongest currency. But I do see this one, obviously, on the daily basis, continuing to push back, even further to the downside. And again, not the Singapore dollar is strong, but I would say that it is stronger than the Australian dollar at this point. Okay, so we'll continue to see this push to the downside. Looking at the CAD. Bam. All right, so yeah, here's the candle right here. Okay, big up, right back down again, small body. So again, a day of actually indecision for this pair. As you guys can see it right here, on the 4-hour, we did bounce off that zone, and again, it wasn't my favorite zone. I mentioned that yesterday. It's a little bit big, right? I just think it was too big, the amount of risk level in it, especially with what the ATR has been. The 4-hour ATR on this pair is 81 right now. That's what the daily used to be. The risk in this level was about 90 pips, which is way too much for me. And you can see we took a little bit of a bounce, and then it kind of flipped, and we're back to where we were last night. Actually, I don't think there's any difference, right? There's our 21. Yeah, our 21 starts right here. So we're literally in the exact same spot of where we were last night. That one spike that we had overnight literally came all the way back down again. So kind of same thing. This one, looking at this, I want to see how far we can push into the zone. I mean, again, we spent a lot of time here. We touched it. We hit it again. Came down another time. It does look like it wants to kind of test the lower reaches of this zone. And again, push through the bottom of it. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for. On an hourly, you can see, again, obviously this one kind of ran out of steam. After that initial push up that we saw before, I'll take this out just to clear it at this point. Basically, we had one little shot right here, and that was it. It's not even the cleanest zone, right? That was a zone that kicked in at, well, last night right around chart school time, right? Because it's 21 right now. That was a 21 candle. That was about the only thing that we had access to. And really, what did it do? It hit it, based, and then did nothing for us. So not much there. Again, for me, I mentioned this last night. I'm looking for a break of this zone. That zone is boxed off by what, 74.96 to 74.62, waiting for a break and then kind of a Harry Potter to the downside. I think that's going to be really the best bet on this one. Play continued weakness to the downside. Looking at the CAD Swiss. Okay, so CAD Swiss back up on the daily. Now this one's a bit different, right? A lot of the other ones, it's been two big candles. We've had this boom, boom, and then it's stabilized. This has been kind of playing ping pong, bouncing back and forth. Okay, looking on the 4-hour, you can see right here, right? Here's where we are right now. You guys see at the very, very bottom, we have the 21, and then we go back, and the 21 candle is sitting right. Wait, where is it? Let's see. Right here. So have a little bit of movement. You're talking about 30 pips from last night till now. So not too much movement. And as I said, this is kind of the same situation where the Aussie Swiss was also pushing down, but then again, was starting to find some, or their buyers stepping in to support it, or they were starting to see issues with the Swiss. Okay, now I don't really think, looking at the news, I don't really see too much news with the Swiss that I would say, hey, listen. Now again, European news, but typically that will affect the euro. That's not necessarily, it doesn't have the carryover effect that it does with other things. So typically that wouldn't, um, wouldn't carry over. All right. So again, very interesting that we're seeing that here. This looks just like the Aussie Swiss. And again, keep note of those two. These will probably be a bit of a mirror between them. All right. Going into the actual Swiss pair itself. Right. So on the daily, yeah, again, sorry, CAD Swiss is the one we just did. This is supposed to be, CAD Swiss is not supposed to be here. Supposed to be Swiss yen. There we go. All right, so this guy. This is one of those ones I looked at earlier. I was looking at this one to get kind of somewhat of a reading of really what was going on and what the opinion was in with the Swiss. Look at this one, right? Again, this is on a daily, so larger time frame. But look at some of the candles we've put in, right? Had a very, very large spike. Got front run, and then what have we had? We've had this red one here, which again, basically all wick, little body. Then the green one, again, a little bit smaller, but the body is even smaller. So again, the amount of indecision with the Swiss right now is very, very high. People are kind of confused. Looking at it on the 4 hour, again, gives us a little bit better of an idea. And I think this is the one we had boxed off top and bottom, and we really weren't able to do much, right? Here's where we are now, and then going back, right here is where we were last night. So it went down a little bit, kind of rallied back up again, and kind of stabilized it. It created like a higher low, but a lower high. Again, a lot of consolidation. I think the European news really spooked a lot of people. And again, the Swiss have been very, very quiet. The Swiss typically, as I mentioned, guys, the Swiss is typically a flight to safety, but that's when countries are ready to fight each other. Okay. As I mentioned, the Swiss are not immune to the coronavirus. So that's what kind of makes this one interesting. And seeing the amount of kind of back and forth with wicks and everything, it was kind of like, So I don't think people really know what to do with this one right now. And again, is it trending? No, not really. I mean, even on the hourly, you can see it's kind of going back and forth, but it's creating a level here, and then there's another level here, and then another level, and then another level. So we're definitely in some type of a consolidation period. And really, for me, I wouldn't be looking to go long or short until we get at one of the two extremes. Take it on a top or bottom. It's really about the only safe way to take this one. So not really a gigantic fan right now of this. Look at the euro. So the euro obviously got spanked around today. Mentioned it last night. I expected this one, particularly against the dollar, to have a bit of a down day, right? Now, as you can see, oops, not that one. I guess we'll start with this one. Euro Aussie. Okay, we know that Aussie is super, super, super weak. We saw it crushed in a lot of different pairs. Aussie dollar down 138. This one, again, it kind of put that top in, right? It finally did. This one did breach through. And again, we knew this one breached through the other day, right on Friday. It breached through, but look what it did here. Okay, look at the size of these candles. Large, 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 tiny. Okay. Again, this one not only pushed price back down again, but when it tried to drive higher, grab more orders, it got turned away again. So interesting telltale sign here. Look at this. This is the 4 hour. Okay. Look at what we were dealing with, right? Kind of back and forth, back and forth. Now what is it doing? It slowly creeped higher, yet the curve of the bottom side went faster. Okay, as the candles were getting smaller, smaller, and smaller and smaller, you had all these orders starting to build here. So very interesting situation. I mean, it's starting to look like it wants to start putting new lows in. If this red candle again, this 4 hour window, if this starts to close back down again, instead of getting these green, red, greens, right, we could start getting a red, green, red, right, which would be pretty interesting. Again, right now, green, red, green, 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 green, red. Ooh, this green didn't go as high. So depending on what this little candle does right here, this could be a top and this could be kind of a turn to the downside. And again, if the Euro Aussie is getting weak against, if the European dollar is getting, or the Euro is getting weak versus the Australian dollar, kind of a telltale sign. And that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I do think we will be in some type of a flip here. Now on the hourly, kind of same thing. This is just, there's nothing in here that signifies, yeah, we need to go long or short right now. But again, what I'm looking for is some type of position to kind of retake that area. Okay. That's just the way that it looks like. It looks like it's starting to run out of gas. It's reaching lower and lower to be able to grab orders. I think we could be in some type of a bearish position rather soon here, targeting either of these two levels. Okay, down here at the 176.63 range, right, somewhere down in the zone where this retest happened. Okay, so that would be Euro Aussie. Looking at Euro CAD. Okay, so Euro CAD on the daily. This one is the exact opposite of what we saw with the Aussie CAD. That one was very, very low. Now, obviously, the euro had a lot of strength last week. Now it's having the same back and forth effect, the exact opposite of what we saw before. The euro CAD was down here. This one is up top. Here's what we saw today. Okay, looking on the 4 hour, you see it pushed down. It didn't really go all the way to the base. It kind of pulled just, about halfway, 60% of the way down before it kind of pushed back up again. So it didn't really give us a whole lot. Tomorrow with the CPI number for CAD, I think this will give us a little bit more direction, and it'll show us whether we're ready to turn and flip or if we're going to continue to go higher. curious to see what the market actually has kind of factored into this one. So as you can see, we have nothing above, and that's kind of the issue is, we don't really know where to get in. You're gonna have to grab pullbacks. None of the pullbacks I would say have been, really spectacular. None of them. I'm not looking at any of them here and saying, yeah, what I've gotten in. No, not really. None of them have been great. The other thing to worry about on this pair right now is the spread is still very, very high. Okay, we have a spread of 4, and it's going between 4 and 5, which is typically more than we like to trade, um, unless there's a really, really great zone. And it's just, I don't, because we have no supply up top. I think we need to be very cautious in taking a short. If you're going to play this pair short or the euro short, I think there's better opportunities out there. The daily ATR on this one is also up to 255, so it is a bit volatile, and a lot of that has come from the last 7 days. When we get back into lower candles like this, I think this will be a bit better of an option to trade, and obviously not a Nadex-based pair, so you need to be cautious there. All right, euro pound. So mentioned this as well, that euro pound, I expected this to retrace a bit. I was trying to be patient and wait for it to go all the way up top, and it looks like it didn't do it. Now the question is this just going to be a pullback and we will still get a pop, or what's going to happen? Okay, here's a 4-hour. As you guys can see on the 4-hour here, we got super, super close. We talked about this last night, right? Here's where we are now, and this is the candle from last night. We just missed it, and super, super close to a 4-hour zone to the downside. It stayed more or less in that area, I guess, from where we were last night. We're down about 40 pips, so it's not a huge run. But what it did do and what it did show us is that, price was all the way, got front, all right up here, right at the top, got front run down, and then made another attempt and didn't even go as high as its last attempt. So the fact that we do have lower highs here now, and again, here's one lower low. If we can get another one, that will signify a trend reversal, which would also match what we saw in the Euro CAD as well as the Euro Aussie. Okay, so it does appear that it is setting up a multiple pairs to be in situations where it's running into supply zones, which is something we need to watch out for. Would Euro Aussie go down, then retrace, then pop down? I mean, it can. I mean, it can. Here, I'll switch back to it. Like, you mean like pop all the way down, then pop back up again type thing? Probably not. I don't see it being kind of. I don't think this will have an emotional spike on it as much right now. It doesn't have enough volume to really kind of do that without moving too many other pairs around. Okay. So that's euro pound. Again, like I said, I think euro pound is also in here. And again, you'd be looking for something on the 1 hour or the 30-minute. We don't really have anything there yet. Yeah, I don't see that one being a very, very spiky. So here's the thing. The euro used to have a lot of power when a lot of people thought that it would become like the new world currency. Um, After the whole kind of pig scenario, I think a lot of people realized that it would not be. And last night I brought this up as well. So one of the biggest things about the euro, why it was created, was the increased trade between basically the European countries having, open borders with trade, like free trade back and forth. Well, now that they're all starting to like close their borders down because of the coronavirus, it kind of defeats the purpose of free trade running back and forth. So it's kind of one of those things. It doesn't have the power that it used to have. So you're not going to see the same type of swings that you'll see with something. Because right now, everybody wants dollars. Because if the world economy is going to fail, the last one to drop will be the United States. Everybody else will collapse before we do. Okay, that's assured, obviously, because it's just everybody will. Um, there's questions whether China has fallen or China hasn't fallen. I mean, I think they're year over year is minus 13% growth, which is a big deal for them. And remember, China can't survive without other people purchasing its goods. So if all of our economies crash, we won't buy things. China is the byproduct of basically, being that type of an economy. They are not self-sustainable. They need help from other people. They have to buy goods for their economy to survive. Okay. So we will be, when we fall, that's the last kind of drop in the hat. I wouldn't be surprised if some countries do have to go bankrupt because of this. And again, kind of deflate their currencies and then kind of reinflate it after the fact. If they're saying this is as bad as it is. Because again, the United States being, basically the world currency, we can do things that other countries can't do. So again, I don't think you'll see the same spikes in the euro based off of their news. They'll just continue to push to the downside. So euro pound. Again, couple areas here. We are seeing lower highs here. Not really great spikes off of it. This is a double top. I don't like that. This one is okay back here. There was a few different entries that you could have taken from this area. Probably marked it off from there, right? That was probably the best shot at any type of entry that we had today to the downside. And at this point, I'd probably say the highest probable trade that we have here is when this zone finally breaches here. We're looking for a break of this area. Now, there are some buyers in here, but looking for a break to take a run, I mean, again, on this one, if I had to pick, I'd say I'd be looking to really overtake that area. I think that's probably the best idea. And again, we are kind of shy on news tomorrow for them, so that may kind of lead into this one, but we'll see how that one turns out. Like I said, it's kind of a lack of news I was looking for. Euro yen. Okay, looking at euro yen here again. This is another one. Look at this. Let me zoom in here. Look at this candle right here. Show me what's going on in that candle. Look how little that body is, right? That body is super, super tiny, right? We're looking at a body that is basically, whoops, what? That thin, right? It's that thin, right? That's how little the body is. Okay, let's move that out of the way. That's how thin the body is. Now, where's the candle? It goes from here all the way to here. Okay, so with that being the kind of the top and bottom, and then that's the actual range open to close, there's a heck of a lot of indecision in this one. So it's pretty interesting. And again, those are why I look at larger time frames to kind of see, okay, what is it following the overall trend? Is it bouncing off our upper levels? Here's what we got on the 4-hour. Okay, 4-hour, all it did was go straight up and then come right back down again. And again, we're in the same exact spot. So here's where we were before. Here's where we are right now. Here, there, and there. So just a little tiny difference, right? Basically from here to there. Talking about 25 pips. Okay. Now, this one is worked its way. It's ATR up to 194 pips, but yet we are 25 pips top to bottom. So it is also entering back into that consolidation phase. It didn't necessarily like the news that it heard last night. Again, we had price rallying up. The news came out, and boom, the news popped back down again. But again, I think the market was already starting to expect that because we put a hold in, and then again we put a lower high in. So same idea we talked about last night. Okay, still forming this kind of consolidation pattern, and when it does finally go sideways and break through the top or bottom of this, people will be looking at it. And again, you could do one of these here. You could say, oh, there it is. Here's where there's, for me, is a 3 top, or you have people that are doing this, like, oh, look, there it touches here, here, and here. It's like you should never have it straight down. Okay, it's more cut through the top of that one. All right, so that will kind of stimulate it. As I mentioned last night, top or bottom is what I'm looking for to be able to enter trades. I'm not going to touch it until it hits either of those two sides. And again, you're seeing the turn in the ATR as well, which is kind of good. All right, Euro New Zealand, as I mentioned before, not really messing with this one right now. I think this one has a liquidity problem. Look at this. Look at this. 3 days of complete indecision, back and forth, all over the place. The spread is 4 or 5. The daily ATR is 342 pips. Just dangerous. Not necessarily interested in trading this one. China's pushing to be the world currency, but China does not have a free-floating currency, so that will never happen. They would like to think that they could, but they won't. They're still claiming third world status in the way that their currency is floating back and forth, and it's not. So yeah. I'm trying to get into stocks. Any videos on stocks you're getting into now? Crazy Dave, my recommendation is don't get into stocks. There's no real reason to. A stock, because you have to put 100% capital into a stock, it's literally the worst thing that you could possibly do if you want to get into the markets. If you're investing long term and you want to hold something for the next 60 years, sure, there's things you can grab, but a stock is so risky, it's so much capital, and the return is going to be so little for what you can do with it. It's just not worth it. Yeah, they want to set all value. Yeah, they never will. Unfortunately, it just nobody trusts the numbers that come out of there, and once they got caught with like lying at the Paris Accords and everything, no, they'll never. I don't ever see them being the world currency. Yeah, they said it right. Yeah, they set the value, which is Basically, what they're saying is because we are an underdeveloped nation, they're claiming like a third, oh, we're the little guys, we're still developing. We need to do this. They're claiming like third world status. That's what I mean by that. Yeah, they do not have a free floating currency like everything else. It doesn't work that way. So they, in all essence, they technically are, yes, a currency manipulator because they set it whatever they want, which is not how the world market works. Yeah. All right. So Euro Aussie. I'm sorry, not Euro Aussie. Euro New Zealand. Not interested in. Now, this one I am interested in. All right. So mark this off last night, guys. If you guys remember this one, it's on the 4 hour right now. You guys remember this? Here's the X right here. If I go to the daily, you guys can probably see a little bit better. There's the X that I said, hey, probably not going to hold. I see this one being down after the large push up. And what I tell you, I said that this would be the one that holds. Okay, so we did. We blew right through this zone. I think these were hourly zones, actually. Yeah, they would have been hourly zones. Okay. Um, you guys can see. All right. So I like this one a lot better. I like the pullback here. I didn't like all the junk in here. There was too much stuff going on this one. Interesting level. We are taking a little bit of a bounce off of this one. I do see this one kind of turning and flipping. If you guys look at it here, check this out on the 1 hour. So there was the breach. Was it? Did I draw on this? I thought I drew it on the other one. Yes, it was a combination. It was the 4 hour. Yeah, it was the 4 hour. Yeah, I swear it was the 4 hour. But anyway, look at the 1 hour down here. Okay, I moved it back. Look at the way these candles are forming. Okay, again, large. I mean, basically from chart school last night, it went straight down. And like I said, I told you guys, don't be surprised if this one heads back down with dollar strength coming back in. As you can see, again, the last couple of hours, you've seen kind of a basing, right? A little bit of a pop, but it's having problems, right? With the news that we had this gigantic quantitative easing process, huge. I think they said it was like a $3 trillion package that they're being passed. We didn't get any type of weakness whatsoever. Okay, typically you're going to see something like that as a sign of weakness. This actually, it went up a little bit, but not too much. So that's pretty interesting. So I think that's a good thing. I think that the markets overall are liking what we are doing. Question is, are other nations able to kind of do the same exact thing? And I think that's what we have going here. Now, looking at it on the 4 hour, again, we did pull up a little bit. We were running in some areas, but again, it keeps getting pushed back down again. To me, it looks like this area wants to break, and we may have a push back down into this 107 area, right? Or 108, what is it? 108.02 is about where the target would be. So something along the lines of kind of dropping to this area. Now, problem with this is we need to make sure that we get in for good risk. I mean, this is about 50 pips risk in that zone, a bit too much. Dropping it down to an hourly. Again, this is where some of the zones get a bit choppier, right? Right? They're getting a bit choppier. So question is, where can we get in for a good level? That's a little bit harder to say on this one. Let's see. On the 30-minute, I think we have, yeah, on the 30-minute, you guys can see there was that kind of doubled up zone in here. And again, we hit the first and popped, then went to the second one, and then kind of came across. What I'm looking for in here is some type of kind of like either this or something along the lines of this, where it's kind of basing sideways and then we get a push down again. I'm looking for a reentry. So I'd like for it to go through, and what it may turn into, this is what it may turn into, all right? I may be looking for, and again, I'll know it when it spawns. It's just not there yet. Something along like these lines right here. I'd like to see it kind of come across and punch down. Like I'd like for it to come down. I'd like for it to do exactly this. I want it to base. Then I want it to break. I want it to form that little triangle. You can call it whatever color you want, black space, white space, um, in this case, yellow space. If it comes down, it bases, then it goes around the triangle and touches, I'm short. Okay. And again, my target will be down in the 102 or 108.20 range, 108.25 range. Again, I'll have to refine that once I get the level of basing. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a continued week in this one. I don't think Europe can write the same checks that we write. I don't think Germany's willing to write those same checks for the European Union to help all. And I think that will be a bit more weakness on their side. All right. Refresh once or twice works here. Screen is black. Well, the background is black. Is that what you mean, or you mean all black? I'm on the app. I don't know. Not sure. Let me check. I'll check it on my app right now and see if it's giving me the problem too. Let's see. Nope, I can see it on my app on my phone. Yeah, I'm on an Android. Whoops, it's talking. Yeah, I'm not sure. May just want to refresh it there then. All right. So this is what I'm looking for, guys. Continue weakness in the euro. Like I said, I think it's going to continue to push the downside. Not really a whole lot of U.S. data tomorrow, but there will be more news about it. Again, more kind of what the economy's doing and the strength and things coming back. All right. Euro Singapore. All right. So Euro Singapore on the daily. Like I said, we had pushed all the way back up. We cranked this thing, cranked all the way back down today. We mentioned this last night as well. Like I said, came back down again. It is now sitting at this lower level. I want to say the same type of Harry Potter on this one too. I wanted to break this zone. I wanted to come and retest it, and then I'll be looking to short it. Until that time, I'm not necessarily interested in playing this channel, bouncing back and forth. It's not a horrible channel. I mean, it's about 45 pips on a 4 hour, which is a lot. On the hourly, you can see a little bit more to kind of worry about, right? This zone has not gotten breached, but it went all the way to the very, very end. There's only a little tiny sliver of that thing left. If anything here, I would say that this zone is probably the better one. This guy right here. And the reason why is because, again, this is where the gap is. Although, remember last night, we'd be taking it from here, right? We would not be taking that entire area. I think that's kind of the better target at this point. And then, again, I am bearish. I am bearish the euro. So for me, it'd be the same kind of. Oops, not that. Hold on. Didn't mean to hit equidistant trend or equidistant channel. I'm looking at something along those lines as well. I have no problem with the 1 to 3. That 1 to 3 pops up right here. Not worried about it. The 1 to the 1 to 5, same thing. It's a very, very minor zone. I don't think we have any problems. I think if it was much, much lower in this level down here at 153.68, I think we'd have problems. But besides that, I'm good to go for this one to the downside in Euro Singapore. Jump over to the pound. Fox, that's so weird. I'll say yeah, because we have 3 Android people. I believe that Q is on I believe that he's on an Apple product. We won't mention that one. All right, pound yen, guys. Last night I mentioned I want this to come back down to the zone on the daily before I'm looking to what? I can't believe it, Q. I could have swore you had an iPhone. I swore you were an iPhone guy. I really did. I swore it, man. If I had to bet my life on it, I'd have bet that you had an iPhone. And just so you guys know, I've met him in person. I've met him up in New York. I actually did a presentation one time that he was sitting in on. So I may pick on him a little bit, but it's because I've met him before. He's actually sat through. You guys have never seen it, but I used to do a trade plan class, and he actually sat through my trade plan class. Eva sat through my trade plan class. I think I sent you guys that as well. But yeah, he was in the same. I don't think he was in Eva's class, but again, the same class. So trade plan. I have notes. Hey man, I did that more than any other person at the entire company. Speaking of that, I got to check in and see they got their court date pushed off to today. I should go see if there's any updated notes. Anyway, still waiting for this to get a bit lower. Obviously, we got a little bit of bounce. Again, big day down yesterday. Did not quite get there. I needed this to get down a bit lower. On the 4 hour, again, you guys can see, kind of dials it down just a little bit more, lowers our risk on this trade. There was a little bit of a pullback opportunity in this one today. I think this was it. Yeah, it was right here. It was kind of the same time where chart school last night. We were kind of pulling back to that zone, and you guys can see that I had it marked off. Again, depending on your broker, you may or may not have gotten into this trade. You guys can see it right here. You may or may not have gotten in, right? That's where we were last night. Okay, may or may not have gotten into that trade. If you did, good for you. It went quite far. You would hit your full profit target. And like I said, this is what we're looking at. Again, you basically got out instantly. Right now, yeah, there's nothing really in there. I'm gonna remove that. This zone is too big. I'm not taking any shorts off of that one. It's just too, again, on this time frame, you're talking about this one being 70 pips and the ATR is only 33. So it's like 2.5, almost 3 times the ATR. I'm not interested in taking a position that big. I went on the other side. Yeah, trade. Yep, exactly. 9 and 10. Yeah, that's when all the news happens. That's when all the magic happens.
All right, so again, we're still waiting for this one to go a bit lower. Set your alerts. If you guys do not have alerts in this one, shame on you. Again, set them inside of this zone. What I would do is I would start on the daily. Start setting them over here. Set them in the like 128.20 range. Um, yeah, the 128.20 range gives you about 10, 15 pips before we get into it on the daily. And then what I would do is I would drop down to the 4 hour and see what the reaction is like. Like I said, these larger time frame zones have been money the last couple of weeks. And that's what I'd be looking for this guy. Pound CAD. All right, so Pound CAD on the daily, as you guys can see, this one slammed into this one, rallied off, came back and retested, and then has rallied back off again. So uh, the spread on this one, unfortunately, is fluctuating between 5 and 6. And actually, this weekend, this one was way up there. It's just one of those pairs that it just does not have enough volume based in it. So again, it's considered higher risk right now with everything going on, and it's a shame. I mean, again, this zone, if you guys had taken this zone, as you guys can see, you just hit your 1 to 3. It's an enormous move. It's about what 207, about 260 pip move off of that kind of that same zone. So. Yeah, just kind of hard. Like I said, I think you know a bit much risk. Again on a technical basis. Again, if you wanted to small, shorten your, make your position size much smaller. Go into minis and trade a bunch of them, or maybe even a bit lower. That would have been the way to trade this one. But this one is out, and again, we mentioned this last night. But 98 pip risk or 90 pip risk is a bit much, right? Unless you're taking a much smaller position size. But again, nice little demand zone. Again, higher time frame at this point. We're going to see if it continues a bit longer. 4 hour, you're sitting in a wick over wick right now. Hourly. All right. Still a 70 pip zone on the hourly. Of course, the hourly ATR is 70, so still 44. Yeah, the zone is bigger than the ATR during that time frame. It's not a bad zone. It's just really, really big. Like I said, I don't know. My opinion is to sit on the sideline when you have something that big. Um, Oops, I didn't want to do pound Aussie yet. We just did pound CAD. Pound dollar. There's your bounce. Okay. Here's your daily bounce. And we mentioned this last night. This one had quite a move to the downside. Currently, right now, 116 down. And then again, obviously, it is bouncing off of that zone. So this is the same situation. The zone was a little bit big. Zone on this one is about 60. Okay. That out. And so had you been in this one off the bottom, again, you are positive at this point. You're probably about 1.5. You're up about 111 pips. It literally dinged the top of that zone. Again, same thing. Risk is a bit big. Risk is about 50 to 60 pips, more than we normally would prefer to take. So you're either going to have to cut your position size drastically, or just kind of skip it. On the hourly on that one, again, this one you cannot see anything down here. Again, it's just too long since price has been there, so we would have been forced to use this on a lower time frame. But you can see, it grazed the top and then it started to form new levels in. The 1 to 3 target is probably fine. The 1 to 5 is actually probably not bad either. There is a little bit of a zone right on the other side of the 1 to 3, sitting somewhere in this area right here. But I think we'll end up getting a kind of a breakthrough. It did spend a lot of time there, and it's in a really big explosion out of it. So not as worried as much. But again, your 1 to 3 is fine, or 1 to 5. You just make sure again you're protected. Even at this point, you're up 2 to 1. You want to make sure you move your stop loss up into the break even area. Actually, bank some pips on this one. I mean, it's up 110. You need to cover yourself, right? You need to definitely make sure you're getting paid at least 50 pips on this one. All right. All right, so that's what we have. Again, we're in the middle of a trade, so there's not much else we can do on that. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie is pretty choppy. So continuing to push back and forth, but you guys can see we had 2 days of indecision in a row. This is what it looked like. Again, not really tradable in my opinion. Look at this. Just literally back and forth. Not really the most tradable asset right now. And again, it is bouncing back and forth, but that's kind of what it looks like, right? Very, very fuzzy. Again, a lot of indecision down, a lot of up, and just kind of some small moves. So not really a trending pair right now. So again, we're not interested in trading if it's not trending. You guys can see pound Singapore. What did it do? Came all the way down, snagged that first. It didn't actually hit the daily, so the daily is just a bit lower. You guys can see the daily level was right here. There's the 4-hour. Whoops. There's the 4-hour. Ended up taking a turn and bouncing off that. This one I actually would be interested in taking a short if we can get a bit higher. This zone that it formed here kind of smacked it down pretty good. So I'd be using this as kind of my entry area. And then again, taking my target right before this as well. It is a pretty good move. About 211 pips. I just switched to water too, guys, today. So I have not had coffee, I think, since like noon, which is weird for me. I was getting a headache from playing lacrosse. Um, I felt like I was like wearing one of the kids' helmets. I was like, my God, this thing is killing me. Um, so again, nice little bounce off this higher time frame. You got to really respect these things, and unfortunately, with the ATRs the way that they are right now, we have to. I mean, the ATR right now on the pound Singapore is 235 pips, right? And you guys can see the average, right? The normal is like this, right? Again, we've had some spikes, but looking back, you guys can see here, this is typically in the range that we would be in. There's a spike every so often, right? And it comes back down again, but you're typically looking at, probably in here at about 130, 140, and right now we're at like 240. So it's a bit high. It's not the highest thing on here. Um, you know, over in here, same thing, about 140. This one spiked up to 185. Or these other highs. This one is at 206. This high is at 206. This high here is at 196. And then this one is at 235. So obviously a bit sensitive right now. All right. Um, but this one, I think we will take a bounce, and I think we will continue to push to the downside as well. I think the Singapore news will be probably pretty good. Pound Swiss. So pound Swiss, I'm on the 30-minute here because I was looking at this one a bit today. Again, nice push to the downside. It did bang off something and started to get a little bit higher, but then we ran into a bit basing. This is the 4-hour. Look at this, literally straight across. I was like, I'm surprised we're not getting more out of this. And again, look at this, all the way across. And I was like, there's got to be some type of an entry here. And this is what I saw, that we were basically getting a bracketing system. Basically up top, and price had not hit that level. We saw one here that kind of got close, right? Again, it got close. And I was looking at this saying, I'm wondering, in this pair, again, it's only 2 pip spread, so it's not a gigantic spread versus some of the other ones. The risk on it was about 25, 26, and actually even dropped down to here, and it said, could I do something at this lower area? And what I was looking at was like something along these lines, like right here, which was about 15 pips, right? And you can see it's in the upper end of that pace, right? You guys can see here's my gray line in the top. It's showing green in the carry through. But that was kind of low. This is what I was looking for. I was like, that's not a bad level. Like the last time price came up to here, I mean, again, nice little rally in, right? The entry was good, right? 4 candles in, pretty strong. It started to run into some problems, hit, and then bam, it came hard, right? Impulse, correction, impulse, all the way back down and form this bottom. So for me, kind of what I was using was saying, hey, listen, if we can get price in this upper range, that would be the near-term curve upper limit, as well as if the bottom side can be hit, again, we have this could be a good long target. So this was a short, and then I had, well, I guess I could just do it this way. We'll do it here. Oops. This would be the long target. Okay. Okay. And again, looking at this, I was like, wait, this is not bad. On the top side, here's my 1 to 3, right? The red short. I'm good with where that is. The 1 to 5, I'm good with that. It's before this zone. If it comes down, it's obviously going to wipe this out. But what's it going to do? The 1 to 3 is good. Again, I can't see it right now, what levels it forms. But the 1 to 3 looks like it's a good place. And the 1 to 5, if it just comes straight down, the 1 to 5 is before the opposing zone. So for me, even though it's a kind of a strange pair, it's only a 2 to 3 pip spread. It's having some movement in it, and it's got a well-defined, kind of channeling zone. This is one of those ones that I was looking at. I was like, not too bad in the analysis. Again, I have 2 well-defined zones, top and bottom on the curve. The 1 to 3 and the 1 to 5 are both in good profit areas. So this is one of those setups that I was pretty interested in. All right, that I liked. Here, if I take this back, you maybe I'll see it a bit better. Something along those lines. Something along those lines is what I'm looking for. So this top and this bottom, again, I'm not worried about the chop in the middle. All right. All right. So pound Swiss. Oops. Oh, did I just kill that one? Yeah, I killed that one. Hold on, let me repair it. Marker watch. I don't know if you guys know how to do this. You guys aren't using the templates. You guys don't know what you're doing. There we go. Pound Swiss is back. All right, pound New Zealand. Okay, pound New Zealand, kind of the same idea that I talked about Euro New Zealand. I mentioned it last night. Again, you guys can see, look at this. One huge day, and I'll zoom in on it. Look at it right there. This candle right there. Okay, you guys see it? It's red. Right there. It's inside of an uptrend setup. But again, a day of huge indecision, up, down, and basically open and close in the same exact spot. On the 4-hour, you guys can see, again, it was bouncing off this bottom limit, but was unable to really break lower, as well as it was getting lower highs in there. But look at this, a lot of wicks, right? A lot of indecision, a lot of indecision, a lot of indecision, a lot of indecision, about 50-50, a lot of indecision here. And again, that was a quick spike down. It didn't give us anything better today, right? Again, these are 4-hour candles now. You count back 6, we're sitting right here, right? So nothing really. Sideways movement. Just didn't like it. Again, liquidity issue is going to be something I'm worried about. So pound New Zealand for me is the go. Of all the pound pairs, pound dollar and pound Swiss are the two that I like the most. That I think actually right now providing the most opportunity for us. Okay, go to New Zealand pairs. Yeah, New Zealand pairs are all kinds of funky. Look, I mentioned this yesterday. The consolidation. Look at it again. Right? ATR right now is jacked. It's up here at what? 185 pips, and normally it is down at the 50 range. So it's almost 4 times as high as what its typical ATR is now. And now we're starting to see a lot of it get sucked out, right? We're seeing a lot of indecision. We're seeing a lot of movement, but we're not really seeing a lot of direction. We're seeing consolidation. We're seeing, drops, pullbacks, but not going as high. Again, we're seeing lower highs come in, and we're seeing higher lows come in. So again, kind of an ugly pair. Not tagging any zones, top or bottom. Again, we still have that one zone up here where the gap is that I think is still pretty valid, but nothing great. Right? This zone, I'm not interested in. Right? You guys can see it here. It's a wick over wick. Tagged it here, but I would just much rather use the top section. I think the top one is probably a bit better. This one, the zone actually formed back here, and this is kind of a new high. So it's showing me that there's orders, but the orders are actually kind of above this area. I feel if we use this, we get kind of stopped out. And then look, it's starting to, even on the 30-minute, zone, 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 zone. And the zones are getting smaller as it gets closer and closer. And same thing, we got to kind of break through the bottom. So ATR-wise, we were okay on this pair, but I just think that, again, this one is just at the mercy of everybody else at this moment in time and not really the best. So New Zealand dollar, you can see that this one kind of had a flattening effect on it. Again, big day down. And now we're popping on this one again. This is that same dollar strength that everything, that everybody else is putting in. 180 to the downside. It has an ATR of 130, so it did beat it. On the 4-hour, you can see more or less it was about 12 hours worth of movement down, and now we've been kind of retracing back slowly. Again, this is all the news that we had today. Again, on the hourly, you can see again it was about 3 hours with a down movement, and then it just flatlined and died on us, right? We've been in the same exact area since 7 o'clock this morning with really not much movement either way. And top to bottom, you're talking about 70 pips, but from where we were at 7 o'clock this morning, you're talking about a 3-4 pip difference in what, 12, 15 hours. So really nothing trending on the New Zealand dollar. So really not much we can trade on that one. And again, New Zealand CAD and New Zealand Swiss are just not going to have the volume in there. And you guys can see just consolidating in, and this one's doing the same thing. It's stuck inside of a bunch of candles. So New Zealand is probably nothing that we want to look at right now. So dollar CAD. Woo! This thing is moving. Now, if this thing gets up to 145, I'm pretty sure my wife is like, that's it. We're going to continue to get paid in US dollars. We're moving back to Canada. This thing is just, again, another rocket ship higher. And again, I said I expected that kind of movement to go higher. I expected Canadian news to be bad. This is more than what I thought. I did not expect, in all honesty, I did not expect a 200 pip day. I expect we'd have something up maybe in the 120, 130 range. I expected, when we did get in the Canadian news, it would not be great. I didn't expect 230 pips. So this one definitely had moved well out of the range of what I thought. For me, again, on the daily, we're still looking to get short when we get up top. That zone is at 145.05 to 146.90. Again, large zone, but it is a daily zone. On the 4 hour, it couldn't really shrink it too much, but again, you'll see there's nothing really up there. The way that I'll probably play this one is really looking for a failure to go higher, and that's when we got to jump in. So, it may take some, kind of finagling and again, lucky timing, for lack of a better word. Looking for this one when it does kind of have a push. So we just did have one, failure to go higher here in this situation. This zone actually is not that bad. Something along those lines. Let's change this back to red. All right. Let's see. What do we got? About 40 pips. So again, 40 pips is twice the ATR. Not normally the best thing to do on a 30-minute, but I don't necessarily mind this as far as a trade setup. I'd like a little bit cleaner of one, but that may be where this thing is going to turn and flip. I think, let's see, tomorrow, I think the way to play this one is to check kind of where we are tomorrow morning. See if we've been, if this is where we were tomorrow morning before the news release, I'd definitely be getting short before the 8:30 news release with the CPI number for CAD. I think tomorrow what we're going to do is about 8 o'clock in the morning. You need to start looking to see where this is moving. And again, start dropping down to your 5, 10, 15-minute time frames and seeing if it drives into a lower time frame. Again, that zone will be formed in the morning. It's not going to be a zone that's formed this late at night. It's going to be something that's formed in the morning. See kind of where we were at. Again, this one could push it right to there, the bottom of that red candle. I think that's going to be the best way to play this one. Watch it driving in a zone and then take the counter reaction. And again, you may be able to trade this in Nadex, but Nadex may have their strikes completely just jacked up. I don't know. But that's going to be the best way to play this one. And again, look for something like this, but obviously on a little bit higher of a time frame than the 30, than the 15-minute. The risk on this one is still about 25, which is 2.5 times the ATR. So huge zones, even on lower time frames. Again, like I said, I think playing this one news-wise is going to be the best bet tomorrow. Okay. Dollar yen. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this retrace back up again. So unlike some of the other pairs that we've seen, this one is actually more body than wick. We had one kind of candle of indecision, and now it's basically just straight up or straight down. Okay, which basically means that it needs to be, kind of a, more of a, I don't know, more of a retest or a retrace type market. So you're seeing we just did hit about 8 hours ago. We did hit a 4-hour level here. And again, this is the last time price had pulled up. Kind of a large level, right? The level actually formed over here, and this is kind of a new formation of it. It is a gap as well, but it's a 70 pip zone on the 4-hour, which is a lot. You can see down here, once we drop it down to an hourly, again, it's marking off the entire top bit of it. You would have just barely, I'll put a line. Here's the bottom of the gap, and you can see we just barely grazed the top. If you guys got in on that one, great job. It's a very aggressive entry. And again, the risk on it is kind of high because you'd have to take this entire area. So don't know that this would have been the best short if you guys were trying to get into it. And again, you guys can see it there. We literally just grazed it. It's right there. If you had taken this here, right? The zone's about there. Again, you were out with your 1 to 3, but that's a quick target. That's using this gap. Again, there's the strategy. It's a quick trade, right? It's a quick trade. I'll pull it back so you guys can see it. There, you guys see that? Here, I'll move this one out of the way. That's what it looks like. So aggressive, it hit. Again, the spread's low at least on it. This one time-wise would have ended up triggering about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, it's there, but man, it had been aggressive. And that's about the only thing. Look at this, even on the 30-minute, you guys are seeing not any big spikes. It's kind of picking a direction and going. And again, that's what we're seeing. You guys will see same thing here, right? Price came down and then picked a direction and just went. Picked a direction and just has continued to move. It's not having these big impact or, big kind of swings back and forth. It's picking one and going. So again, tomorrow morning, figure out what direction it looks like it's going in. See if you can get any pullbacks on the lower time frames. We just really haven't been able to, haven't been able to grab much in this one as we went back through. This level up top, I actually like better than the gap area here. But again, that would have been the gap play using the 30-minute. I think this is an okay zone up top. I actually think this is actually not a bad zone down here. So for me, it's kind of again, I think there's good, and I think, oops, not that one. And there, I think is good either direction. And I'd like us to get either way. And this is a 15-minute chart. So, you're talking about 100 pips up or 193 pips down. Okay, as an ATR of 223. So it is in range. You can technically hit either one of those two. But that's what I'd be looking for, top to bottom. Okay, either of those two zones. I think those are the two best zones for this one to get short if you're not going to take something to intraday. Dollar Swiss. Okay, dollar Swiss is okay. Again, this one has rallied back up. We knew there was a little bit of an area here that there was going to be selling involved in. And again, if I move this across, guys, this is something we picked out last week. Okay, you guys can see right there. It just hit its 1 to 3. Okay, we literally just tagged it right here. So, you had your entry. Again, we're talking about, what, 2 weeks ago now? Is that when we marked off that zone? You can see how long it's been since we marked it off. But it did finally come back up and hit. Now, looking at this, everything else I've shown dollar strength. This I actually see more dollar weakness in. This I can see. I see it continuing to push the downside. We will have a bit of a pullback again for a reversal. Remember, we need to have this red, green, or red push down, and then another failure. To me, this one looks like it wants to come back down and grab some orders back down, probably in this range, in the 94.39. Looking at it on an hourly, again, you can see big push down, spike, push, spike, boom. It looks like it wants to come back down. If I had to pick a target, my initial target for this one is going to be back over in this area, right? Down in the 94.88 range is where this one appears to be coming. Again, very, very fast ascent. It ran into a level. We had that level marked off forever. It came back up. It hit that level and now has continued to push away from it. It does have the confirmation by color changing. I see it coming back down. So I am bearish this position. Again, that'd be something to get in more into tomorrow. Because again, you don't necessarily mess with the European. If you're going to sleep, you don't necessarily want to mess with this one overnight. All right. So those are the 4 U.S. pairs. Let's go over to the fun ones. And when I say fun ones, you guys know what I'm talking about. So start with gold. All right. So daily on gold, we got a lot of indecision. Now, this is very interesting. Okay. Obviously back and forth, a lot of wick, very, very small body. Man, the United States is just we are just giving so much money out, backing so many, buying all this paper. It's crazy, right? On the 4 hour, you can see, again, it's a little bit clearer. It's not as wicky, but I mean, it's like, turn here, jump, go back over. I mean, it's just kind of crazy the way this one is moving. Here's your hourly, okay? In your hourly, didn't quite, we didn't go up to the level we were looking for up top. On the bottom side, we didn't quite get the entry low, even though price sprung off that area. It was super, super close. Again, we would have probably taken the more conservative entry. And then down on the 30-minute, you can kind of see the same idea, right? There's some small stuff up in here, but nothing really, really great to get into. So gold has been a little bit more different, right? A little bit more difficult. Again, things are getting front run. Silver, on the other hand, you guys can see on the silver chart here, but on your daily with silver, this one has basically just been straight down. Now, we did have a day. It did rest. It didn't do as much today. And kind of the same thing. As much stuff as the United States kind of kicked in today, you would expect the silver to move more than it did, and it didn't, which is kind of very, it's a telling sign. Look at this one. This one basically had one drop and retrace. It's in the same exact area on the 4 hour. Very different than gold, right? Here's your 1 hour. Not a ton of movement, right? Still a lot of sideways. On the 30-minute, this is what you got on the 30-minute. You had basically one little piece up here, which again, price rallied, slammed down, which again initiated the indicator. And that was the only trade today in silver, right? Silver was able to hit this thing right there. You ended up hitting all of them in the first candle, right? Came all the way up, snagged it. And I think on the 15-minute, can we see it there? Yeah, you can kind of see it on the 15, but the zone got a bit smaller. And again, you can see where the zone would be. Came up in 1, and it was out at the 1 to 5 in the next 15 minutes. So it was a very, very fast kind of spike in, spike out. Again, very, very fast parabolic retracement, guys, right? Boom, boom. One, and again, I think you guys can see it. This is a 5-minute candle. Yeah, look at this candle right here. Look at this candle right here. I don't know if you guys can see this, this candle right here. Look at that thing. Is that not a crazy candle? I mean, it's all the way down, all the way up. I mean, just insane, right? as low as this, as high as that, triggered, ended up, and if you didn't get filled here, you would have got filled here. It goes into the zone, and then came all the way back down again. So yeah, I mean, you couldn't, I mean, absolutely insane. And then after that, it basically just flatlined and really didn't do much the rest of the day. But there was the only trade setup. And like I said, got to check these lower time frames. That was really kind of the best setup that we would have had here. And this one kicked in. Just check that one. About 11 o'clock this morning. So yeah, just, kind of looks like a bad tick. Yeah. So yeah, so that's what we have going. Silver, NASDAQ. All right. So on the day, again, this is just insane. Huge up, or huge down, huge up, huge down, huge down, huge up, huge down. Good day up, kind of a consolidated day down, right? This is what we got going on. Again, gaps everywhere, kind of funky candles. The 4 hour, there's really no zones, right? No zones. On the 1 hour, we do have some zones in here. But again, today was a much more muted day. We gapped down here, kind of came up, down, and kind of stayed within the same range. Now, this one, it did have this zone right here. Whoops. We did have this little thing right here. Okay. Now, it's very, very close whether or not you would have stayed in or not. It depends if you use any type of a buffer. But you can see that zone where last time it was hit, again, crashed in, bounce, bounce, and then has kind of held firm there. So what it looks like to me at this point, this zone has been, again, breached here, touched again, touched deeper here. This next time it hits will be number 4 coming through. For me, come on, Jen Jen, come in here. Come here, Jen Jen. My daughter's crying outside the door, banging on the door. Come here, come to Dada. It's okay. Shh. Okay, you charge school with Dada. Okay. Here, get some water. Yeah, can you say that she's a daddy's girl? Anyway, this is the trade setup tomorrow, guys. If for the Nasdaq, if we can get a breach of the zone, a break below 69.30, and again, get a little bit of space under there, have it pull back. Look for a short to go down to 66.99. I think she's probably crying because Ernest took her pip chips. Maybe. That's my trade setup for the Nasdaq tomorrow. That's what I'm looking for to go a bit lower. Now the Dow, we had areas up top. We never made it up. Again, sideways, back and forth movement. Here's your daily. Again, daily, remember that we are so close. We did get front run on a little tiny level. We knew it was close. I knew it was going to get down there. On the 4 hour, we lose that zone. On the 1 hour, kind of the same thing. Just that same pattern, consolidating back and forth. On the 30-minute, nothing really on this one. So this one was a bit, here, you want some chips? Here, some chips. This one was a bit harder to play. I think that the play is more inside of the NASDAQ than the Dow. And again, trying to set this up right now, not the best idea. Wait till the market reacts tomorrow morning to what they did late tonight. And that's going to be the best way to play that one. All right? Back to back, yeah. All right, S&P. So S&P on the daily. S&P on the daily, you guys can see we slam right into that zone. Again, we've done it 3 times. We hit it here, we gapped down, we hit it, we launched all the way back up. Okay, came back down, we opened, gapped again, hit it again, we closed inside of it, we hit it, then we rallied back out of it again, and now we're pushing down and we're not quite as far yet, but S&P, we are sitting inside of an area of demand, which is kind of interesting, right? Looking at it on the 4 hour, hard to pull a lot because it has put in lower highs, so she's happy now. She's eating tortilla chips. It is putting lower lows in, and that makes this a little bit more difficult. Now, technically, lower lows, lower highs, we are in a downtrend, right? Again, we got to respect that, that daily zone, though. Here, it's kind of the same idea. There's a little bit of a trade here, and again, there was a pop that you guys could have taken, and again, we talked about this yesterday. Here's the pop, right? And again, you could have popped it. You would have got it here. You got it long, okay? Got this weird candle. Drop down, and again, we formed another zone. Okay, move this across. Again, there was a zone that was put in right about here. Okay, now again, we hit the zone, it went higher, came back up, went higher, hit it again. And again, on number 3, number 4 is when it broke. And what did it do? It tricked you. Again, it wasn't a short situation. We got no white space, came back up, grabbed some more up top, and now we're riding along that same area. So for me, really, it's really kind of stuck inside a consolidation area right here. What I would do for this one, I would also put some type of a trigger on the other side of this one. I would put an alert somewhere probably in here. Now remember, on the daily, that is kind of sitting at the lower end of this demand zone. Okay, it has hit a bunch of times. Yeah, here, you want water? It has hit a bunch of times. It's probably going to fail soon. Remember, these things are good for 1 or 2 hits. You get to 3 and 4, it pretty much is going to break, right? I mean, the whole principle behind supply and demand zone is they are unfilled orders, but it's not an unlimited supply of unfilled orders. Once they get filled, it will break and continue to crash through. So we are probably at that range where we are due for it to break. All right. So if we continue to push lower, we again look for some type of level down here. Look for some. Yes, it's a dog. Look for a level of basing and then do the same thing. And again, I don't know if this is exactly where the level of basing is. You're gonna have to look for it tomorrow. Look for that level of basing and then do one of these. Look for a break below and look for it to go lower. If it is unable to break, say it's a great day and it's just heading to the top side, kind of do the same thing. Look for this thing again to come up, form a level of basing, and then pull back and be able to tag that basing. You're going to need the markets open to be able to find these levels, though. Once retail traders come online, it's going to change a lot of things. It's just what's going to happen. All right. So again, honestly, tomorrow, if it's a green day, I won't necessarily be surprised. Based what? Yeah, Dad is talking. I'm talking to people. Based off of everything they've put in tonight, this $1 trillion kind of backstopping on things, I think they're serious about helping the market and kind of putting a bottom in for the market. As I said today, the market will not close. This is not going to be a 9/11 situation. For those of you that had that worry, what Mnuchin said was, we closed it for 9/11 because we didn't have the technology in place to run it. Okay, we had the technology. We can run it completely with machines and no people. So it's not going to close. They want people to have money, access to money. Banks will not close. And again, that's a pretty good sign. And then they wrote a huge deal like this because Trump said, instead of us going back each week asking for more, let's do it one time. So it's a huge amount of money. So that should provide some confidence to the market, again, to keep this thing going to the top side. Loans, carryovers, buying paper, sending $1,000 checks to everybody. All these are things that people are going to really like. And again, I think that's, again, if the market turns down because of bad news, again, we get a lot more deaths tomorrow. Take this thing short off of a zone like this off basing. Otherwise, look for this thing to rally back up again. And again, if it does that, again, we can't really necessarily be too surprised, right? If it's able to do that, right? Why? Because it's sitting right now inside of an area of demand. So if it does start to rally and bounce off, again, this would be why. Okay, because there are buyers still in this area still. Okay, not many, but there are still some. Do you think it'll break by the end of the week? What range do you think the SP will be by next week? Clayton, great question. So that's a very hard question to answer, because here's the thing. So the factors that are going to affect it the most are, one, does the market feel like tonight's package was enough? Okay, was tonight enough? Is a big question. Number two, are the quarantines working? Is the other question. Okay. Again, weekly, we are also in a great area for this to kind of turn, although it's pretty deep. If the quarantines are working and we don't see as many of infected cases, I see this market rallying and really starting to start moving. It's going to start going back up again. All right. If the death totals come in, or we start seeing death totals and infection rates are not slowing at all, even though schools have been canceled and all this stuff, if all this stuff has just been like, hey, listen, we thought it would work, but it's not, it's going to continue to go down. So, no, they said we're going to have checks within 2 weeks. The buying the paper will go in instantaneously. And it doesn't really necessarily matter if it's not approved, it's going to be. Just the fact that it is out there and people know, they know it's coming. So it's the fact that we have certainty that something is coming versus the uncertainty of nobody has any idea what's going on. So that's the biggest problem with the virus, is the uncertainty of what the actual models will show us. Because remember, everything is based off of a model. We don't know the exact number of infected in a week from now or 2 weeks from now. We know what the models tell us. And most of the models, when you look at, Italy and these guys overseas, what are they telling us? Oh, you guys could drastically reduce, the spread of this, and you could lower the curve, if you did these 5 things. Like in Maryland, we've already done all 5 of those things. We've been, under 2 days of all the 5 of those things already. So a lot of all the schools are already canceled. That was the biggest thing to reduce this, the lower this curve, was the schools. We've already done that. So we got to get time to see this. So that's going to be the big question. Like I said, I think we're in areas where we are going to find, some type of levels of support in here. This is looking at it on a weekly basis, looking at it on a monthly basis. We got room to run, right?
Monthly, we got to go quite far back down. I mean, this is back into what 2016 time frame. That would be huge, huge, right? Um, but again, here's your weekly. We're sitting inside of a buying area. On a daily, we're sitting in a buying area. On a 4 hour, it's just been too long since we've been here, so it's really hard to get this data. So, um, that's the best thing I can tell you as far as the S&P goes. All right. I know you want an actual number, but it's hard. I'm not going to just pick one. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you right now, I'm more likely to be bullish the S&P at least right now. Yeah, and like I said, tomorrow morning it could be game on. We could get a report tomorrow morning that we've doubled the amount of infections, and of course the market's going to go down. You know, but I think so far, I mean, like I said, everything that I heard today, you know, and again, getting the tone of the media. The tone of the media today was kind of like, "Hey, listen, Trump should have done this sooner." But we love the package we got today. He went big on this one. And again, news media outlets are always going to kind of point fingers. Or this guy should have done this, and you have that Monday morning quarterback. But one thing we didn't know as well, and they were making a comment. I don't know if any of you guys heard this. Basically, early on, Trump said, "Listen, we got this under control. There's only been one case in the United States, a guy that came from China. We got this." Right? At that time when he made that statement, though, shh, and quiet. At that time when he made that, we did not know this was a community kind of spreadable disease, right? We thought it was just through like fluids and things like that. China had hid that information from us, right? Now it's a different situation because we know we can, sneeze and breathe on things and it can spread. So it's different. So it's been changing. I think the response was great. I think the governors are doing a great job. The only thing that will help us in the next couple days is to see what the new reports of infected coming in is, and see whether or not it's working. All right. So that's S&P. So let's go to everybody's favorite, and we'll end the night on this one. What? Do you want more drink? Yes, that's Mickey Mouse. And yes, guys, I have a 21-month-old that is up at 10:30 at night. All right. So here's oil on the daily, down to 27.45 right now. This is like a limbo. Like I feel like we need the limbo music, right? How low can this thing go? Okay, we are continuing to push lower. We went below the low before. Not a lot of James, I know you got a little piece of this one today, but you can see, basically from the start, there's been a few things, right? I mean, if we, kind of go in here with the back testing, here was the one zone today that was marked off. Okay, that occurred about 5 o'clock this morning was the entry. Now we did have this large zone underneath, and this is what we would. Oh, Jin Jin. Now she's spilling. I gave her my water, which unfortunately was a full glass. So now all right, give it to me. Now there's a pool on the ground. Go get a towel. Go get a towel. She's the most helpful child ever. She makes a mess. She goes, go ahead, go get a towel. Go tell mama you need a towel. Go ahead, go get a towel to clean it up. She's gonna go get a towel to come clean the spilled water up on the floor. I love it. So this is what we had to watch out for. So if you took a short off this level, oops, what did I do? Oh, I killed it. Hold on. There we go. You would have had to be very, very careful. And you can see it did take a bounce back off of that zone again. It did break it. It did break it. But, if you were taking that zone, you needed to be out quick. All right. So the short today was 30.17 and again 28.97. Again, basically what, $1.10, $1.20 down was really the play in that one. Again, very, very small zone. And again, it's marked over here. But remember, it was, oops, I keep doing that. That's where the entry was from there. All right. Very, very short. Again, super early. So we'll see if we can get the same type of position tomorrow. We can move it over and again take this trade from this side. It's not a bad area. I think 30 is still kind of a magical number. It is a rounded number. I need a towel. She decided to spill stuff. But I got nothing below. Right. I'm looking at the overlaps here. There's your 4 hour. There's your daily. There's your weekly. There is a weekly zone down here, but this weekly zone is sitting down here at $26.16. Again, that's another $1.30 down just tomorrow. So if I had to make a call, I think oil is going to go lower. The big question is it going to bounce off of this zone? You guys can see the dotted line in that one right now. That's going to be the big question, is whether or not it bounces off that weekly zone. Again, you guys are not using this overlay feature. It is a great one. Again, here's on the weekly. You guys can see where it is. We're very, very close to it. But again, to get a true kind of look of where we need to be, you guys got to drop down to these lower time frames. And again, and overlay this in right there. so you guys can see how close we truly are to it. All right, so that will be an interesting level. I'm assuming we will pop off of that one, and that actually may be the front running that we're seeing right now. But any type of pop or push to the downside, it's gonna, it's gonna move. All right. Now tomorrow morning we do have crude inventory at 10:30. So let me pull that across for you guys real quick. So crude oil tomorrow morning, sitting right here, right on Wednesday morning. They're saying three. Now last time was that huge. Look at this miss. Last time I expected to be two. It came in at 7.7. It was a huge surplus. This week they crimped it up just a little bit at 3.5 mil. So we'll have to see if that one comes in. Imagine if that comes in at a 7.7 again, misses that thing by 4 again. God, that will be huge. So yeah. I don't know how much lower it truly can go, guys. I don't know if it's going to bounce off this thing or not. Um, I don't know. I mean, $20 oil. I mean, do you guys think $20 oil? You think we can get there? I mean, heck, $20 oil is here, right? $20 oil, and again, here was that move, kind of this first spike and retrace. Look at this. This was one day, right? Look at that. There's $20 oil. I don't think James would have to ask 5 guys. James's guys don't like $20 oil. We could. I could do I could do one. We could do a contest. I can set it up tomorrow. Will we hit $20 oil in the next 30 days? It's crazy, right? Crazy. So, all right, guys. With that being said, that's the last currency pair to cover tonight. It is 10:30, so I will go ahead. Let's drag this across. All right, so we have a bunch of new people in the channel tonight. Make sure you guys get into the drawing. So the drawing, you get basically 25 pip chips. Pip chips can be used to purchase indicators. You can get one-on-one mentoring time as well. Who was it? Who was it that asked earlier? I don't even know who it was. Whoever asked about the stocks, like this is an opportunity. You could do a one-on-one mentoring. You could ask them about any single stock that you want. I'll give my opinion on it. I don't currently trade stocks. My wife is in the advising field, so she is limited. They have to know all my accounts, and I'd have to have money over at specific brokerage firms. So I don't trade them, but I will tell you what my opinion is on them and how I would trade them if I was. If you guys want to do that inside of mentoring sessions, so they're pretty much whatever you want. I can give my opinion on them. All right, so I'll give you guys another 30 seconds. I know Ernest is probably trying to snipe this one at the last minute. Actually, at 1:30, when this says 1:36, I will go ahead and close the giveaway for tonight down and award the pip chips. Let's see, is James in there? No, James is waiting for Ernest to get in. All right, now Ernest is in. James, is waiting to kind of sneak in here right at the very end. Watch this. It's gonna pop in a second. See how much time does he have? He's got 15 seconds. Let's see if he gets in this last spot. Oh, Q got in. There we go. We got one. Now it backfired last night. Somebody got in right after Ernest, but Ernest still won. All right. There we go. Close the giveaway. All right. So, time to draw it. Now, remember, guys, we were saying if you win 2 in a row, you get 100 pip chips. All right. So, remember, I was doing the drawings to see if you could win 2 if you had 2 tickets in, and the answer was no, you couldn't. So, if Ernest wins tonight, that will be a double, which means instead of 25, he gets 100 pip chips tonight. All right. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Winner of tonight's drawing is... Oh, Q comes in and steals it at the last minute. Look at that. He got the last ticket in. Oof. Ernest's blood pressure. Yes, Ernest likes his 100 pip chips. Look at that. Q got in there at the last second and ended up stealing it. You owe me pip chips. It's so good. Guys, I love it. It's one of my favorite parts about chart school is the pip chip part of it. All right, so let me give you your 25 pip chips. Bam, you guys are good to go. All right, guys. So with that being said, let me pull the scanner across real quick. As I said, the scanner is kind of off base right now because the moves were so large today. Actually, let me pop back to this. Let me switch. There we go. Switch this one. All right, so looking at this again. Obviously with this, again, 220 in the CAD, 122 in the Swiss, 130, 172 in the Euro down. Again, remember I called this last night. This is obviously going to be a bit skewed right now. right? So again, just take all this with a grain of salt. There's a lot of things in setup modes. Again, a lot of this is a retracement of what the dollar did today. Again, the CAD, I mean, it's that skyrocket. The euro we know, the Aussie we know, the pound we know. Again, this is all the dollar movement today and the dollar strength. We got to see where this is going to kind of level out tomorrow. Get one more day worth of data, and then these things will come back online. The lower time frames are a little bit more telling. Again, you can see the majors obviously confirmed in one direction because they were just literally one directional today. Eurobasket, you're seeing a lot of consolidation on lower pairs. CAD, same thing. It's kind of all over the place. Some checks again versus the dollar, versus the Swiss, versus the yen. Aussie basket, again, yeah, Jinjin, exactly. You're seeing downtrend setups, you're seeing an anchor break. So everything in Aussie, again, is still red. But again, CAD, mostly red. Aussie, all red. Okay, so again, we're still looking for weakness. Look for your shorts all day tomorrow in Aussie. Look for some pullbacks, look for some pops. The pound, again, the pound is kind of mixed, again, versus the CAD, the Aussie, and the New Zealand versus the commodity pairs. Obviously, there are uptrend setups. There's a little bit of a pullback today, but again, I expect this to continue with the pound. And then obviously versus the Swiss, the yen, and the dollar, where the strength is coming in it right now. Again, there's those downtrend setups. All right, so that's what we have going on, guys. With that being said, I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. I will be on for the oil release tomorrow. I will definitely make sure that we check it about a half hour early. Hopefully, the Nadex spreads are not completely jacked through the roof. And then don't forget also on Thursday I do have the Nadex webinar at noon, which is considered news breakouts, which this market is a bit much even for the news breakouts because the premium is just absolutely just crazy on there. But under normal circumstances, again, it's kind of the counterbalance to the parabolic retracement course, and that'll be Wednesday at noon at Nadex. All right. So you guys have a good night, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Uh oh. Tintin.